Balls to the Wall, episode number 29. I'm Kenny Matthews and my co-host, Billy Martin Jr., fresh off the golf course. How are you doing today, buddy?
Well, I enjoyed myself. I got to play Tour 18, and because it's Masters weekend, I was actually good for Amen Corner. For those 3 holes, and I was pretending like I was on Augusta. I was pretty good.
Oh man, that is awesome. That's awesome, man. But we appreciate you guys listening to us all the time. We really do. And if you want to help us out, please subscribe and press the like button, and comment is the key there. Give us a little comment on that if you could. That helps us out tremendously. You also can find us on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. But we appreciate all your comments. Like we've said before, we really would like to improve this as much as we can from week to week. You guys got topics, any comments, we would embrace them. Please do not be afraid. You can even send us a negative one. Even if you want to do anonymous, that's fine too. We want this to get better. We don't want it to be something that, just Billy and I are just talking off the top of our heads. But hey, we'd like to kind of find out what the audience likes also too, and what you dislike. So please feel free to leave some comments with us. I've had a couple comments from some of my college buddies. I had another one from San Francisco last week. He still tells me that Gonzaga is way overrated. So Tommy, I understand. Tommy Williams in San Francisco, I understand. I've got to eat a lot of Gonzaga crow. That's quite all right. It's still not going down very good the last 13 days, but yes, there is some merit to your point. Yes, there is. I will give you that, because they have not delivered the championship blow just yet. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that next year either, but that's very valid. So I will give you the thumbs up, buddy, on that. So I can't wait to see his text message after he listens to this on this one. But yes, we do appreciate you. We really do appreciate you guys listening. I think we got a real good show today, and we're going to start off with the recap of the Final Four. And Billy, you and I have been talking about this since the tournament started. Last weekend did not disappoint either. Last night did not disappoint. Monday night did not disappoint again. I'm not going to go out and say it's the best tournament ever, because I need to really kind of go back and maybe look at some prior tournaments in the top of my head. But you got to mention it in the top 3 at least. From pure excitement, upsets early, close games. You still had a heavyweight battles in the Final Four. You have 4 blue bloods if you want to include Villanova in that. It was a spectacular weekend. Now, I know Villanova was undermanned, on Saturday, but I want to say this about what Villanova, I thought, did Saturday. They never quit. They kept coming back, even when Kansas would just get that lead up to double digits. They kept coming back after them. You got to tip your hat off to Jay Wright. I think we may have mentioned this last week. I think he may be the best coach in NCAA basketball right now, is Jay Wright, since Coach K is exiting out the door now. What that guy's done the last 6 years, 3 Final Fours and 2 championships at a little small college, Catholic college there in Philadelphia, man, that is not bad work. Academics will not allow him to get everybody into that school because of their academic standards. That guy brings it every week. And I know you were we talked about it last week. He's a good fan. And hey, Kansas was just, they had more horses than Villanova on Saturday.
Yeah. They did. But who was dominating the first half of that game?
Yeah.
And I noticed something. I noticed a head coach, obviously a rookie head coach, but a guy and involved, and all of a sudden, when Kansas started making their comeback, that old head started going down a lot. He started doing this and making these gestures, and I'm sorry, man.
Oh, you're going to the championship game. Okay. Yeah, to the championship game. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm saying, I saw a rookie mistake there that I think he took him down, and I shouldn't have gone ahead like that, but it it drove me crazy because what an amazing job. And we were talking about when he and Coach K were going at it. And here you got a guy, the very end of his career, could be his last game, go against
Yep.
a rookie of the year, a rookie coach who's been amazing. And the more I watched that Carolina team, the more I really liked them. And
That starting five is really good. That starting five
yeah,
is really good for them. Really, really good. I know not, I will say this, the Saturday night game, I know it only got 17 million viewers, but that was on cable since it was on TNT on this Saturday. It wasn't on CBS, so that number is going to be a little lower just because it's a cable number. But it's the second highest rated cable show ever for a game, from what I understand. Wisconsin and Kentucky a few years ago just nipped it a little bit on the rating side. But Billy, I don't know about you. I was at a birthday party on Saturday night, tour bus, and we were going from bar to bar. And let me tell you, that game never seemed like it got more than about 3 or 4 points one way or another between Duke and North Carolina. And for pure entertainment reasons and for everything that came into that game, it lived up to the hype and beyond the hype. I'm going to say it was better than the hype on Saturday night.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just like Duke and Tech. I mean,
Yes.
You said something earlier about, is it the greatest tournament ever? And that's different for every person, I think, too, because, some years you're just more connected with whether it's your alma mater in there,
Right.
or
Conference.
you just watched a team so many times that you started falling in love with their guys.
Right.
But man, it's hard for me to imagine there were more close games.
Yeah.
Just down to the wire. Yeah, it really was. It was.
It to me, I mean, North Carolina Duke is the best thing going as a rivalry anyway. Not named Yankees, Red Sox,
Right.
Bama, Auburn, or Ohio State, Michigan. But I mean, for them to go toe to toe the way that they did, where a lot of people thought that Duke was going to win that game because North Carolina beat them on Coach K's last night in Duke and Cameron Indoor Stadium. A lot of people thought that was going to be advantage Duke. And, a lot of people thought North Carolina was kind of playing with free money, house money going into Saturday. Man, you have to really credit Hubert Davis to be able to rally his troops again to come up against them in a monumental task of beating Coach K again in 4 weeks and to send them off into the golf course. Obviously we talked about Coach K last week a lot about his career. We definitely said if he's not the best, he's 1A or 1B with Wooden. I understand that, but I think that what he has done for that Duke program, if you think about it, Duke has won 5 national championships. All of them Coach K is part of as the head coach. So I know a lot of people like to call Duke a blue blood. I like to call Duke a blue K. Because that's really the reason why they are blue blood.
Well, man, okay,
Right.
You just can't say, "Oh, that basketball player's great. We want him to come to Duke."
Right.
You did that at a school that has academic standards that make it that much tougher. The whole, why do you think Jim Schlossnagle left TCU to go to Texas A&M?
Right.
Because not only does TCU have high academic standards, A&M pretty decent there too.
Yeah.
But they're expensive.
Yeah.
And recruit a guy for cost mom and dad $2,000 or $3,000 for him to go to A&M, that it would cost $26,000 for him to go to TCU. Well, you have all these other hurdles to get a guy in. So you got to go. You got to make the guy believe in you, believe in your program, want to go there. And then he's got to qualify. He's got to make his grades. He's got to have enough money to pay for the things that the scholarship doesn't.
Yeah.
That's got to be harder at a Duke than it is at an Auburn, than it is at a Tech or an OU, you know? And so I have even that much more respect. But I will say this, I think it was time. I mean, every time they showed him in the fourth quarter, it looked like he was about to start crying. And I thought he must have heard Kenny hacking on him on balls to the wall.
Billy, with the group of people I was with Saturday night, I've told them this. I said, they gave Coach K more airtime than Will Smith and Chris Rock combined the week before. You know, I mean, after every shot, every foul, I was like, did they just have a sitting 4 or 5 cameras, you know, just locked in on Coach K and his expressions? And I kept going, I understand you want to send him off, but it seemed like they were almost sending him off before he actually was eliminated. You know, it's like doing a funeral for a guy that's on life support. You know, he's still here. You know, we shouldn't just be writing him off just yet.
Well, the only guy that got close to that kind of airtime was Hubert Davis's predecessor.
Yeah, Roy Williams.
How often did they show Roy masked up back in the back? And it's like,
I thought we were going to break out. I thought they were going to break out great pictures of Bill Foster and our buddy Dean Smith. You know, next. I mean, it really was. I'm thinking. I bet you it's kind of hard to kind of determine going in. You know, you want to give your proper respects, obviously, to the, you know, one of the GOATs of the game. But how much do you give that to the proper respect to him and take away from the game itself? The players are playing. You know, there's got to be a fine line in there. I mean, you've been in TV there, Billy, for a number of years. I mean, there's got to be a fine line of the storyline still is the jump ball and the 10 players playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have that, you know what? You talk about that a little during timeouts or whatever, but come on, it's still a man's game. It's still a player's game. And that's why we're watching it.
Yes, it is. And then a lot of people thought that North Carolina was going to be emotionally drained. They kind of went back to the Gonzaga of last year, playing that, you know, game, that awesome game against UCLA and winning at the buzzer on a 40-footer. You know, Gonzaga did not have anything left in their tank when they played Baylor last year. A lot of people thought that same fate was going to happen with the Tar Heels. And my gosh, they got a 15-point lead at halftime. You know, it's like, you know, so I think that, you know, we as people and we as guys, we try to go back and centralize our thoughts from the past. You know, you try to give people excuses for maybe why they may not show up. But we also have to remember, Billy, these guys are 21, 23, and 20, you know, 18, 19, 20 years old. They're pretty resilient at that age, you know, and they have all the proper equipment to get your body recovered in 36 or 40 hours. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
We had ice packs that we made out of towels, you know.
When you were a priority guy back in our day, you might get to do the hot cold treatments, right? You might get to do the ice, hot bath, ice, hot bath, ice, hot bath. Well, now these guys can go cryo, red laser, cryo, red laser. You know, it's just the same thing multiplied by about 7,000.
Yeah, I kept thinking about that. I was going that, you know, they gave me a big old little sack. They gave me a sack over here and said, fill this thing up every 20 minutes and put it on your ankle. And elevated. And I'm thinking, these guys have got all these cryo, orange therapy, the whole shooting match at their disposal. And I go, not only that, I think that, you know, having a day off, you know, in this day is probably good because it gives them a chance to deal with all the outside stuff on that Sunday with them, you know, their teammates, their family members, all that other kind of stuff. You can kind of get that out of the way, wake up Monday and it's all back to business. and it didn't disappoint. It was another entertaining game with Kansas. Again, I will say this. I think the difference in that game is the 3 threes that Remy Martin made down the stretch were just absolutely
Oh my
huge.
God.
I mean, you think if just one of those don't go in, Billy, I think North Carolina is the national champion. I mean, I really, really do.
I also got another issue. To me, the best athlete on the floor was Love. Okay.
Yes.
And when he got hurt,
Yeah.
he was not the same after that.
Yeah.
What was weird about it for me, he was never favoring it. Okay. But he couldn't make a layup after that.
No.
He did not make a 3-pointer. And I was screaming at the TV, don't give it to Love. On that last second shot, I'm sorry. Everybody expected him to give it to Love. Love hadn't made that shot that whole quarter. He was terrible at the quarter. He wasn't the same. So then to me, I'm like, okay, then Manic's the best 3-pointer
Yes.
after him.
That's who I thought they should have done. Yes.
Then let's go with the third option. Let's blow everybody away. Let's fake to Love, fake to Manic, and make that throw. I don't know. I think it was the wrong call. That kid had been your man all year. He's clearly not the guy in the fourth quarter. He was hurt. You could see it in his eyes. And that's what you got to do. And that's where we saw a rookie coach mistake. But
well, don't you think also maybe the fatigue of playing 40 minutes, at that point in time, not coming out again, and you're favoring a leg injury at that point in time. To me, I thought he would have been the perfect decoy at that point in time.
Yes,
exactly. Not you don't set the play up for somebody that's not 100%, especially if you're thinking about a 3-pointer, which you use your legs more than people think when you're shooting threes. I thought that would have been the perfect kind of penetrate him, kick it out to Manic. I think Manic was probably the one guy that you probably really felt comfortable with shooting that last shot. I know that saying, Love and Davis have been tremendous in this tournament. I'm not taking anything away from them, but they logged a lot of minutes. And, when you're trying to defend and trying to, be offensive at the same time, you will lose a little bit that down the stretch. And, maybe that is Hubert Davis, as you kind of said off camera, being a rookie, going up against a heavyweight, obviously, and Bill Self, has been there and done that. But again, I also do think this, and then maybe you'll believe this, I think that North Carolina also lost this game by giving up that lead so quickly in the second half. It allowed Kansas to not have to panic. They cut that lead within 7 minutes to like 4. And I said, well, heck, we got a ball game now. You can just play your regular offense. You don't have to rush and do full court press and do all that other kind of things. You can just go up and down the court with your offensive sets. I thought that was big for Kansas coming into that second half.
Sure. Kansas used up their pass. They kept grinding. And then all of a sudden, that momentum shift was so big. And like I say, I saw it on Davis' face. I saw him drop that head. And I'm yelling, Coach, they're looking at you. Puff up. Be the guy that's not even shaking. Oh, whatever.
I will say this also, though, Billy. I want to say that Armando Baccarat, what he was able to do after rolling his ankle on Sunday night and then on Saturday night and coming out there and playing against those two big stiffs from Kansas the other night. I mean, that was a Herculean effort. That's a man. We're talking about cojones.
Oh, he's a beast.
Sacked up big time.
I thought, okay, but they're like for a few seconds, I started thinking, wait, is he doing it again? Is he gonna do right there? Like there's only 30 seconds left, right?
Right.
I'm like, don't tell me he's gonna run up to the training room again and then come out with the Rocky music playing. I'm like, come on. But no, That kid's a beast. We're gonna see him. We're gonna see him for another few years.
Yes, we are. I think the record, he has the record most rebounds in a tournament with this 15 that he got on Monday night. And I mean, you talk about some of the greats that have played the game, you know, think about Wilt Chamberlain. He got to the final game in his, and Wilt Chamberlain was averaging about 30 rebounds a game. So, you know, that's pretty good. You know,
The guy they changed the rules because of,
yeah,
that Wilt Chamberlain,
he's pretty,
greatest
yeah, that guy.
NBA player in history. That Wilt Chamberlain.
Yes, as I always would say, I said when you change the rules because you're so dominant, that should put you in the upper echelon of what should happen, you know. And again, a lot of people discredit Wilt because he didn't win enough championships because he was going up against a guy by the name of Bill Russell. But Bill Russell had Red Auerbach. Wilt Chamberlain did not.
Bill Russell had like these 4 really good teammates around him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
There's huge
we
difference.
digress. Let's move forward.
Bill Russell was surrounded by Hall of Famers. There wasn't many Hall of Famers that played with Wilt until he played with the Lakers. Now, albeit when he did play with the Lakers, that's the end of Wilt's career. He did play with some Hall of Famers then, but Wilt was, always stuck on the team that had really good players. But you and I both know there's a difference between really good players and Hall of Famers any day of the week, So
there's so many guys like that in sports that just people don't realize. The greatest running back for me in the history of the game was Earl Campbell. Okay. The Tyler Rose to me was the best. When was he surrounded by Hall of Famers? And
his Hall of Famers were on defense.
Yeah.
Robert Brazile and Curly Cole.
Yeah. Put Earl Campbell behind the Pittsburgh Steelers line.
Oh gosh.
Put him behind the Dallas Cowboys line. That's fine. Put him anywhere where you have that kind of team. Absolutely. He never had, because wherever he went, they all of a sudden became a playoff team. You know why? Because they handed the ball to Earl 30 times a game.
Absolutely.
Bum Bright knew what he was doing. Hey, I mean,
and that's after he carried the ball 45 times at the University of Texas for 3 straight years. So yeah, all on. They called it AstroTurf back then. We'll just call it a rug on concrete.
Or how about this? How about a carpet sandpaper fusion?
Yeah.
Go with that.
God bless his soul. No wonder the man is in a wheelchair these days. I mean, he played on ice, basically. And he wasn't missing people. He was initiating contact. Oh, it was a pleasure to see you what it was. But I do want to give credit to Kansas, and I mean, I will give. Okay, my statement here is twofold. I will give Bill Self credit. He is one of the only, now him, Ricky Pitino, and who was the other one? God, I'm forgetting somebody else. Have now the only coaches left that have won multiple NCAA championships. I'm missing somebody.
Smith.
Yeah.
Dean Smith.
No, that's active. I'm sorry, that's active. Jay Wright, Jay Wright's the other one. Jay Wright's got 2, Patino's got 2, and now Bill Self has got 2. I do think that this is a little bit scarred in a way because we have this FBI investigation that I think started before we voted Abraham Lincoln into presidency. I mean, it's been going on forever. I mean, but anytime FBI is involved, there must be something there. And I'm not going to say that, it's the worst case scenario, but the FBI generally doesn't get involved in cases unless they know they're going to win. They got a pretty good success rate there. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of comes out, because there is some haters out there that think that, well, some of his players that are playing with us because they came there illegally. because they got, benefits that they shouldn't have gotten. I'm not going to go that far yet because I don't know, but I said it does put a little shade, I should say, on that a little bit. But if he's cleared of all this, Bill Self is, you could probably start saying that he's on the verge of being a top 15 coach of all time. I mean, he's been to 4 Final Fours. He's been to, 3 championship games now, and he's won 2 of those. That's not bad in this day and age. Not bad at all.
Well, it's good. Not matter because it'll end up who's got the best marketing guy at finding the best NLIs. Whoever finds the best NLIs and can say, Kenny, hey, I know you're paying it last year, but guess what? You go to school, you'll get $300,000 a year while you play for our team.
Kind of like our buddies down in College Station are doing on the football side of things lately. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like we've said before, the days of a map and a shovel in a dorm room, they're gone now. You don't need to do that any longer. So yes.
It'll be interesting to see how far it trickles down. We know we're going to see it in basketball and football. Are we going to see it in baseball? Are we going to see it? I bet eventually we will. To some degree, we're going to. Yeah. And what sports will we see it in? And when will they stop it? When will they realize what chaos they've created?
That's a topic that we kind of hinted around last week. We kind of hinted around again. I think that's a topic we need to do probably in the next couple of weeks, the depths of that, because it's changed the landscape big time. And as we said last week, it's widening the gap, big time between the haves and the have-nots. And if that's the case, you're going to have, 10 teams every year that are so much better than everybody else that the regular season will be not near as climatic as it used to be. It won't have any meaning because they know they're going to make the top 12 that will eventually go out. So, that's another story for another day. But yes, I do agree with you there big time. It's a touchy stuff. We'll talk about that one day later because I'm very passionate about that one for sure because it's very seedy, for a lack of a better term of what's going on. And you can't tell me that a 17-year-old's NIL means that much before he even gets onto that campus of that university. You can't tell me he's worth $50,000 just because he's going to go for some nonprofit. That doesn't seem right to me at all. It's not. Oh. No, it's not. But we do appreciate you guys listening to us. And if you want to help us out, please subscribe, press the like button and and make a comment if you can to help us out on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. We would greatly appreciate that. That would help us out tremendously. And please make the comment on there. We really embrace that. We'd love to chit chat with you guys on that. We enjoy doing it. As I tell Billy every week, I feel blessed to be able to do this for an hour each week with my man Billy. It's fun. So we want to continue to do this for you guys, but we definitely want to bring you some content that you guys think you'd be interested in. I think a lot of people that are sports fans are pretty interested in this Masters that's coming up tomorrow. I used to say this was my favorite week of the year because you always had the NBA trying to wrap up who's going to get into the playoffs. You had opening day that started. You had the Final Four that, the weekend and then the final game on Monday. And then you had 3 days of waiting for Jim Nantz to say, yes, we are at the Masters. By the way, Billy, if Jim Nantz does a game, it's pretty big, it seems, isn't it? It's pretty significant, isn't it? I mean, that guy's got a pretty charmed life. And then I was even thinking about this, Billy. You appreciate this. Could CBS have done any better for passing the torch from Pat Summerall to Jim Nantz at the Masters? And then you actually had I can't think of the guy that was actually before Jim, before Summerall. It'll come to me in a minute. But I mean, you talk about the best of the best have been calling calling the Masters for CBS for 50 some years now. I mean, that's unreal to me. But anyhow, it starts Tiger is a big story. I know that he's a big story. He's going to play. I mean, I think it's remarkable that he's going to even try to play, Billy, because walking that course at Augusta is not easy with healthy legs.
The up and down.
It's ups and down. And he's going to try to do this. Where basically at one point in time, they were thinking about amputating his legs some 13 and a half months ago. I mean, it's remarkable that he's even trying. So I said, I'll tell people now, watch the first 2 rounds when ESPN puts them out. I think it's going to be hard pressed for him to make the cut. But, you know, what drama that would be if he did make the cut. I mean, he might have a Coach K deal where, you know, they'll just follow him and nobody else again.
I'm betting on him to make the cut. I think he'll make the cut because that's 1 round. You know,
And it's his course.
Right. He can make 1 round. You know, he was talking about it. He's like, look, I can swing it. I can square it up. I'm fine there. His swings changed a little bit too. If you look, they were breaking it down on it. And and is it that insane to say a guy like that can't get a cart? I mean, everybody should get a cart. I mean, is it really that big of a deal?
Well, let's just say this. It would line up all the golfers' pockets even more if they let Tiger use. From a selfish standpoint, money-wise, they probably would allow it and until he won. Then if he won the tournament, then that would be used against him. You know, he got to do a card.
A bunch of crap, right?
But I mean, this week, and this is to me what the most underrated thing about the Masters is that on Saturday and Sunday is the limited commercials that you get from there. I mean, you can go an hour and you will see 54 or 52 minutes of golf and just 8 minutes of commercials, you know. In this day and age where every sport is playing, holding people hostage for money, this is one tradition that has not gone away. And think about, Billy, how much money they leave on the table every year to not go and say, let's do this like a regular tournament and have commercials. I mean, that's the reason why I think it's such a big deal, because you get to see what Augusta looks like. There's nothing like Augusta on this earth, you know, especially in the spring. I know the COVID year we had it in the fall, which was not the same, but I mean, you and I both know, man, this is the creme of the creme. It's the best thing going. And man, I cannot wait to watch the Masters.
Well, let's hope it doesn't disappoint, because to me, the only part about the game I don't enjoy as much is, to me, there aren't the hardcore stars there used to be.
Yeah.
You know, there are some, there are a few, but before the change of the century, it seemed like you could always count on 2 or 3 guys to be there. And now it's just hard to hold on to your damn card. There are so many great players. And that's about it. The game's really better. It's just hard for people to be
dominant.
That guy.
Well, don't you think that golf needs a dominant person? You need that. You need a dominant person. As long as I've been
following, you need them to love or hate.
Yes.
You need them to love or hate. You love or hate the Cowboys. You love or hate the 49ers. Wow. Whatever team is and we need it in golf.
You know, you need a polarizing figure of some type always. And now that we had the duel for a while between Mickelson and Tiger. Obviously, they have gotten older. Mickelson's not here for his Saudi Arabia deal that he did with try to get the tour to go that way, and the human rights there with Saudi Arabia. So that kind of soiled Phil Mickelson. And I think that was kind of, you need to stay away for a while, for this to die down a little bit.
All right.
But it's going to be really weird. Think about this. Tiger Woods and Mickelson, neither one of them will be on the favorites list, in Vegas to win this tournament. I can't remember the last time that was that way. I mean, it didn't matter if Mickelson was playing bad or if Tiger was playing bad. Whenever they came to Augusta, they were one of the top 10 guys to try to win this thing every year. You don't have that this year.
No, and you know how often when we're talking about baseball, I say the analytics I want to be able to figure out is right here. Well, let's take that to a new level. Golf and Tiger's the greatest example of it in the history of any sport, because we're talking about a kid who was on his way to not only best every record, but shatter it. And when the world found out he was a man whore, he couldn't play golf anymore.
Undefeated.
And I'm sorry, Tiger, I met you when you were 15. And just because you're a man whore, I don't look like. So it just shows how important this is, and how it's got to be right for you to succeed, and that goes to every facet in life. Whatever you do for a living, get your mind right.
Well, don't you think I think it's great that Jack and Tiger always compare to each other, because they both had that. I mean, as great as Jack was, that was an era where there was a lot of other great golfers with, Jack during that time. Arnie Palmer was pretty much in his prime when Jack started. I mean, he had Lee Trevino. I mean, you had Watson. I mean, you had a lot of great golfers, during that time. And Jack always seemed to have that mental edge, where's Jack on the final knot on the back nine? Where's Jack on the back nine? Tiger came in. That was the same thing. Where's Tiger on the leaderboard in the back nine? So he beat people before he even took the club out of his bag, because they're always in their mind, where is this guy? And that's huge in that game, because you and I both know golf is mental as hell.
Yeah. Funny you bring up Jack, because I remember seeing an interview he did when Tiger was at his peak, and it looked the best I've ever seen. But there's still a long way to go. Let's see how he handles it all. Let's see where he goes, because he knew out there. He knew. I mean, I can tell you stories from Jack that I can't tell on the air. That we all have issues.
Well, Jack Nicholson's, I mean, the thing about Jack is that people don't realize, people used to talk about him more than our boy over there at Ohio State, Woody Hayes. For a while there, because he was perfecting his craft at Ohio State when Woody got there. And a lot of people talked about Jack instead of the Buckeyes. Can you imagine that now?
Nope.
There's no way. I do got a great stat for you. 25 years ago this week is when Tiger won his first Masters. And he went with a 18 under par 270 at age 21. Age 21. 25 years ago this week. I mean, I can remember it like it was about 5 or 6 years ago watching it. I couldn't believe it. He was so animated. If you remember him making those putts, the big, fist. I mean, it was a huge deal. I tell people all the time, when Tiger's relevant, it makes the tournament better. It could be the Byron,
Absolutely.
it could be whatever it is, but when it's a major, it's huge. I mean, it gets the grandma to turn on the TV set. It gets the aunt to turn on the TV set. You know, it's the fan that's not a fan of the game, but they go, oh, that Tiger Woods is in the hunt. They turn on the screen. And golf, as of right now, they don't have anybody close to a difference maker to what I call the TV dial. The TV dial, because the TV dial is huge.
We're begging for a star. Kenny, we want a star so bad. I mean, come on, everybody in Dallas, Texas is cheering for Jordan Spieth, right?
Oh, yeah.
We want it. And he'll have his moments, but
Justin Leonard,
his-
same way.
absolutely. And that's a problem. And
Well, remember when Tiger was going through all of his shenanigans, you know, Roy McIlroy was supposed to be the guy that was going to be get the new torch. You know, he was going to. What's he done? You know, why is there no heat for him not taking that? Because, you know, Tiger was not playing any longer. So, I mean, he didn't do anything with that. I mean, yes, he's made a lot of money. I get that. But, you know, nobody's really taken it over. And then the one guy that has, nobody likes him. You know?
I can't even say his name.
No, it's just weird. But yeah, that's all I do know is that I can't wait to see that first poetic picture tomorrow, you know, of Augusta, because that place is just immaculate, beyond immaculate. I can't imagine the countless hours and labor that they put into that course year after year after year, but it never disappoints. Never. It never disappoints, that scene.
Nope.
And there's not much better than a two-headed race on the back nine at the Masters. There's not much better theater than that, and I'm hoping we get that. CBS has been on a heck of a run the last 3.5 weeks. They're going to try to extend it, you know, through Sunday, man, but I hope that that's what it is. Whoever it is, I just want it to be a thrilling Sunday back nine.
Well, I walking Tour 18 today. And but 11, 12, 13 of Augusta was crossing a bridge, and it was the Ben Hogan Bridge, and it was bringing up. It's named that because of his score in 1953 of 274.
Unreal.
4 days. That's like a 70, a 69, a 66, and a 67. I mean, it's like, what? You know?
Unreal, dude.
I wonder if we'll see something like that this weekend.
It would be awesome. Believe me, I would love to be here next week when we do this, because we're filming. When you guys will see this, the first round will probably be, you know, already on. They're going away. But yes, if there's any way we can come here next week and talk about that thrilling finish at Augusta, I'm happy guy. I'm very happy guy. Yes. And we're gonna go with our final.
Let's talk about this thing going on tomorrow called Opening Day.
Yes. Yes, let's lead into the great day. Yes, my boy's got the rawhide there in front of me. Yes, to a lot of doubt, trepidation, a lot of demise, deflatedness. We have an opening day in a 162 game season starting tomorrow, which I have to admit, you know, back in February, I was very, very down on this happening. I thought baseball was going to take another one in the shorts, but they got it right. And they also got it right before Jackie Robinson Day next week, April 15th, the 75-year anniversary of Jackie breaking the color code in MLB. So I will give them kudos for that, because, you know, you and I both knew that there was a whole lot of pride on both sides. Both were dug in. But I'll give more credit here. I'll give some credit here to both sides getting to an agreement. That's huge because we need this game. And I told a lot of people that told me that they didn't care about baseball, Billy. I told them, I said, you're going to care about baseball June 6th. And they go, why? When there's nothing on, you're going to want a baseball game June 6th. And so, yes, I am glad that it's here. And I'm glad we get to share this with you. We both thought that we would do some predictions, our playoff predictions, Cy Young, the whole MVP, Coach of the Year, those kind of things. And I'm really looking for this because I call this, but my buddy Mark Elfenbein says, shock drawer predictions. You make predictions before the season starts, you put it in the sock drawer, and you open them back up when the season's over to see how badly we were off. But yes, I am so glad it's here, Billy. And I know for you, personally, it's huge.
Well, it is. And speaking of that, our personal Final Four predictions, I got 0.5 right. I got half the team right because I couldn't commit to Duke or Tech because it was my alma mater and I put them both down. So
yes, I got Kansas to the Final Four. That was it. My Illinois pick, my Gonzaga pick, gone by the wayside. My UCLA pick, gone by the wayside. Yes. So
Dona, Auburn, Baylor, gone. Okay. So just to let y'all know, we have no problem admitting our mistakes.
Yes,
we're getting all this stuff right.
We swung and missed big time. When I looked up and noticed that I had one Final Four team done before the first Sunday, I knew I was in trouble.
Blame it on the COVID.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Or we could just say it was a great upsetting tournament, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk some baseball, man, because I'm so excited. I don't know that I'll get much done when the games start other than watching games and trying to not miss anything every game. But this is going to be a great year, I think. I think there are going to be a lot of injuries.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I think the first couple months is going to be just survival, for lack of a better word, because we had the scale down spring training, obviously. We're going to have guys that are, guys that were signed late, in spring training too, or kind of behind. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of at-bats for guys, and you don't have a whole lot of innings for starting pitchers. So you're going to have staffs with a 28-man roster, and you're going to have 16 or 17 pitchers, to try to circumvent, that lack of arm strength. There's, I know it's going to be kind of reminiscent to, last year a little bit on that, but I think even more of a case this year because it's really condensed. And
I think better last year only because we didn't have the CACs the year before. We no condensed or whatever players have it. Right. And funny to me how many people lose faith in guys struggled either the last 2 years.
Right.
Like, you know what? Take a step back. Look at 19. Use that as your gauge right now. These last 2 years, scrap it. For major and minor leaguers. Minor leaguers didn't even get to play at all in 20, unless you were a guy that was on the practice squad. Right. I mean, and those aren't games.
No.
It's still not the same. Still, it doesn't have the same intensity.
No.
So it's going to be an interesting year, but I can't tell you how it felt sitting in games in spring training, crowded, full all sides of you, not masks everywhere. It was nice, but this year's going to be great. talking about who's going to win what division and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't so easy to do, was
I mean,
it?
where do we start? Because
Okay, well, why don't we do
do we
this?
start with the divisions? Do we start
Yes,
with
that's what I said. We'll start with the
award?
divisions. I thought we'd start with divisions. We'd go with the AL East.
Well,
first.
that's the one that
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
I almost think we should end there.
yeah, okay.
because that
So then let's
division-
go. Let's go National League East. Okay, we'll go to the
Okay.
National League East first. All right. I thought this was a pretty easy prediction for me. I chose the Braves. I think the Braves will be better as the year goes on. They're almost going to be like making a trading deadline move when they get Acuna back, probably in June. You know, at that time coming in, get Soroka back pitching. You know, from the beginning of the year on. I think the Braves. I know they lost Freddie Freeman. Don't get me wrong. I understand they lost Freeman, Mr. Brave. I understand that. But not a bad trade-off getting Mr. Olson and replace him at first base.
No, hey, that's great. They got younger, and look what they do. They added a lockdown closer to their already
Loaded back.
amazing bullpen, right? I mean, that's definitely the team. But I want to also keep an eye on the New York Mets. I believe.
We and I, we kind of talked about it last week. I was leaning towards maybe picking the Mets, but now, I mean, you got a major question mark now, you know, with the Mets, with DeGrom's injury. You know,
no doubt.
Truly the extent of it. You know, I mean, 4 weeks, nothing, then we'll reevaluate. That doesn't sound promising at all, does it?
No, I do love that. The Buck factor too. I think he'll make a difference.
Yes,
I do. And the Phillies are legit. I mean, they have guys out there that, like, a lot of unknown guys that are studs, like a Ranger Suarez, who threw another 3.2 scoreless innings today. And
Suarez is really good.
They're going to be knocking at the Braves' heels. That's going to be a fun division to watch. It's going to almost be as fun as the AL East.
Did they address their Achilles heel enough in the bullpen? Because their bullpen last year was gas can central. That's the key. That's the key for me.
I think they did. I mean, look, bullpens are the hardest thing to address.
And year to year they change. It doesn't matter. You could have had a great year last year and you flame out the following year. It's a crapshoot. And that's where the game is moving to. That's what I don't understand. We're moving to a bullpen game, right? With guys that are inconsistent. You and I both say, look at the back of a baseball card all the time. You can't do that with middle relievers. You can't. They're all over the map. You know?
Hey, I'm around the Phillies bullpen for you. Corey Knebel is their closer right now. He's been a successful closer in the major leagues.
Except the playoffs.
The playoffs. Okay. He's had a lot of closers. Jose Alvarado is their 8th inning guy, who's 100-mile-an-hour lefty, who's also been a successful closer in their 7th inning guy, who's been a successful closer for the New York Mets, we were talking about a minute ago. Another upper 90s guy who's got his cutter is upper 90s. It looks like a damn slider with sink, and I've seen it at 98. Okay, below him on the list, you have Brad Hand, another former closer. I mean, 2 down from him, Sir Anthony Dominguez. That was their closer 2 years ago.
Right.
I mean, I think they've done as good a job as they could possibly do trying to fill those gaps. Will these guys man up, step up, and get the job done? We shall see.
And the best thing about that is their offense is going to score. They're going to put some runs on. So, that's, to me, it's if they're able to lock down these leads that they will have going forward. And and Girardi's he's a damn good skip. So, I'm not worried about them getting out coached, on a night-to-night basis. That guy knows exactly what he's doing. So, yeah, Phillies could be definitely a good wild card in there for sure in that division. Want to go to the NL Central? I think my easiest pick for me was the Brewers in this. They got the best starting pitcher. They got the best starting five pitching for a group to me. And I said this last week before DeGrom's injury. I said it last week here. I thought they had the best. Their starters are tremendous. And I think Peralta is a budding star, and he's not even the ace on this team. I think he could be an ace on a lot of other pitching staffs going forward. It's all about if they can hit or not. Will Yelich ever get back what he was before this back started kind of bothering him? They did get Austin Meadows from Tampa Bay in a trade to kind of help that lineup in there. But, Billy, you and I both know you don't have to really score a ton of runs in the playoffs if you've got great pitching. So can they get 3 to 3.5 runs, in the playoffs? You probably can go pretty deep. And I think Craig Counsell is one of the best in regular season skips around too.
I agree. No, I agree. Look, and their front four in that lineup, I love Colton Wong.
Mhm.
Lorenzo Cain's got to show me you can stay healthy, but obviously Christian Yelich is former MVP stud. I'm a Andrew McCutchen fan. He is a baseball player, but I got to know him.
And they got Renfroe. I forgot they got Hunter Renfroe too from the Red Sox.
Yeah.
So,
which I thought was a huge trade for them. No, I agree. Although, and I think Corbin Burns, we'll be talking about.
Yes. I got him listed somewhere down. That's why I didn't mention him yet.
He could be the sleeper award, Cy Young award.
Yeah, I've got it.
Also
hold
have
on to
their
that name.
they're gonna have their hands full with St. Louis Cardinals too.
Well, and the Cardinals are the Cardinals. The Cardinals are the Cardinals.
They're always good.
They're always
right?
good. They're always good. And the one thing about the Cardinals is if they're in the race, they generally will make a mid-season trade too to get into it. They're not one to salvage their minor league every year after year, but if they think they've got a run in it, they'll make a run at somebody. So yes, Cardinals.
They made a announcement today that threw me off. Their number 5 starter is going to be Jordan Hicks.
Wow.
I don't know if you remember him, but he's a 100-mile-an-hour relief pitcher that was their closer.
Yeah, I was going to say he was a closer. What was it, the White Sox?
He was their closer.
Yeah, he was their closer. That's right. He was their closer. The Cardinals closer.
Yeah. And all of a sudden he's going to be their number 5 starter. Now, I don't know if that means they're going to do some kind of mutated,
bullpen start. Is that a bullpen start pretty much? He goes 3 or 4 and
what the opener. Opener.
Yeah, an opener.
Is it going to be a mutated opener? I don't know, but I think Wainwright, McCullers, Steven Matz, Dakota Hudson, and Hicks are their 5 guys. And I like that lineup. The Rockies paid them to take Nolan Arenado from them a year ago. So, and now they got this guy back named the Albert Pujols, and he's going to be their DH. Watch Paul DeJong go nuts this year and be what he was a couple, 2, 3 years ago.
Right.
Yadier Molina, say what you want, you know how good he is.
Mhm.
And I'm a big Harrison Bader. That lineup's deeper than Milwaukee's. The start of
Yes.
Milwaukee's a little better. St. Louis's finish is better for me. So I think that's going to be a fun race to watch.
So you have the Brewers in that one winning it?
I'm going to go Cards.
Okay,
I
Card.
got to be a Card freak, and you know me. Come on.
I got you. Excellent. All righty. And let's go to the NL West. For me, I'm picking the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the reason I'm picking the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it's not because it's really like a shocker here. Their lineup is ridiculous with versatility. Left, right, left, right, left, right, switch hitter. I mean, I have never seen where you could actually go 1 through 9 and see a lefty, righty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, all the way down. It's sick. And when Muncy is the underrated player on that lineup, that tells you how long that lineup is.
Well, look at this. Cody Bellinger. Now, I know he had some COVID issues and he struggled a little bit. But we're talking about a guy who was an MVP guy, right?
MVP.
That's your 8-hole hitter.
Yeah, he's at the bottom of the order.
He's hitting the 8-hole. Okay. I mean,
and what is Cody? Is he 27? 29 maybe? Somewhere in there?
He's 26 in 8 months. So, he's
so he's still figuring the game out. And he's a former MVP.
Yeah. Betts. Here's lineup. Mookie Betts, MVP candidate. Freddie Freeman, MVP candidate. Trey Turner, MVP candidate. The aforementioned Max Muncy, who can play every position on the field. And Justin Turner, who, by the way, Muncy released by a team. I believe the Oakland A's released him.
I think the A's did release him. Yeah, the A's released him.
Justin
he wouldn't be an A today if he was there.
Turner, designated for assignment by the New York Mets, is the next guy. I mean, Will Smith, best catcher in the game, probably. Offensively, defensively, all around great.
All around, I think he's the best all around. Yes.
Chris Taylor, who can anywhere on the damn field, swings it like a beast, and he's batting before the former MVP Cody Bellinger and Gavin Lux, who's the platoon lefty with Hanser Alberto going against lefties because he's a righty. But that lineup is insane. I'd love to say, oh, the Padres are going to make this sexy, because they are, but when you lose a Tatis, they're not like the Braves, who can lose an Acuna
right,
and still keep grinding until he comes back. Dodgers by what? How many games do they win the division by? 12?
This year alone, I do think that one of the weaknesses, though, or should be for the Dodgers, is this. Normally this last decade or so, when we talking about the run that they've been having winning the NL West, it's been their starting pitching. I do think that starting pitching this year is the first time you have some question marks there. Kershaw's coming off of injury, a year older. I do love Buehler. I think he's going to be great. But Urias, the velocity being down, that is a scary thing for a young pitcher. He pitched his most innings last year, as a starting pitcher. That's something to, kind of at least monitor, going forward. You don't have Mad Max. He's in a New York Met right now in that lineup. So I think that this is the first time under the, let's say the Dave Roberts regime, that the pitching is not the strong suit of the Dodgers. And, when was the last time that you and I could say the hitting is going to be better than the pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers? It seems like an oxymoron to me. It really does. And so, and then you lose Hanley in the back end. Yes, you've got arms. Yes, you've got prospects, but is that proven on the MLB level is what you got to do now.
Well, I love Tony Gonsolin. They're number 4. I love Haney. I think the reason Urias's velo's down is because he actually is thinner, and he actually worked out more in the offseason. And I think he's just not used to carrying less weight out there. And I think it'll come back. I think he'll be okay.
Is he the quietest 20-game winner from last year?
Absolutely. No doubt.
He is.
No doubt. And even losing Jansen, they went out and got a Kimbrel. And I know he's got the goofy stand like this thing and all, but the guy's pretty good when he's a closer. That rest of that bullpen, all the way down to the bottom, is really good.
But I agree with you.
If they have any starting pitching issues, it's going to hurt bad. So
that's the other thing. You get Dustin May coming back from Tommy John surgery.
Right on.
And I think that he was a budding star before, he obviously blew out his UCL up last year. So yes, you're not going to push him, but yes, he can be a guy that maybe in July or, August can be that guy that's, has spot starts maybe, a little bit. And the thing about the Dodgers, though, and, this is the reason why I know that it was an easy pick. If they're kind of struggling come July, they've got so much in their minor league and their everyday players that they're going to make a great move. So this Dodger team we see now is not going to be the one we see in August. I can guarantee you that. So
we might see Mad Max back in Dodger blue. Something goes wrong in New York.
Exactly.
Let's move to the AL.
Okay. AL. Oh, do you want to do the wild cards from? Do you want to do the wild cards from the NL? I have my 3 wild cards from there. We don't have to.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, I just said my wild cards are going to be the Cardinals, the Padres, and the Giants. I think that the NL West is going to get 3 teams in that. I think the Cardinals is going to beat up on the Cubs and the Pirates enough to get there. The only reason I did not pick the Metropolitans is because of DeGrom. That was the only reason. I just think that's a huge thing to kind of fight through. I could be terribly wrong on that, thinking that what's his name is going to buy up everybody to get a competitive team in July. But I do think that the Cardinals are the Cardinals that are model consistency. And that's the reason why I have them there. And like I said, they have the Padres. I think that their starting pitcher is going to be much better this year just because Snell's not going to be as bad as he was again this year. He can't be. And even though the guy's his mind is off of me and he's hurt coming back from Tommy John, I know he hasn't pitched well in the spring here.
Dinelson Lamet.
Yeah, thank you.
Dinelson Lamet. But they're talking about him being their closer right now.
Wow.
Because he throws 100, so he may be their closer. They've got Paddock coming back. They've got Clevenger coming back.
That's what I was thinking about, Clevenger. I know he hasn't pitched well in the spring.
And they just made a trade to get Manea.
Yes, from the A's. Yeah.
They've got more pitching. They sent kid like Weathers back down to AAA. Paddock may be in their bullpen. No, Padres are going to go this year. We're going to see them.
And do you think, Billy, is there any credence to now them not being like the fancy pick, the trendy pick this year, like they were last year? Is the pressure is off of them a little bit this year where you can kind of go in and just play baseball instead of having these maybe unrealistic expectations that a lot of people put on you like they did last year?
Yeah, absolutely. Tatis being gone, all that. Oh my gosh, they're done now. Yeah,
And
no, they're gonna
I don't know
make.
how you feel about him. I know one thing. I love their new skip. Bob Melvin he can skip my team any
Any
day
day.
of the week. And I think that makes a huge difference for the Padres. I really do. I think he's wonderful. And he's gonna look at that. He's been having all these Honda Accords in Oakland. Now he's gonna look up and he's gonna see a couple Porsches. He's gonna see a couple of Maseratis. What does he do then? I mean, how good of a skip is when he has the horses? He's had to manufacture for so long.
Funny you say that though, because so often some guys are not good at both. At there are guys that are great at the Elias Sports Bureau did a thing. And they said that they had my father at the top of the list. So I know they're the best analytical, statistical company in the history of the world. But anyway, because he was good with both. He could take a bad team and make them better. He could also do well with a good team. Part of their study was there are a lot of managers that were good at taking bad teams and making them better, but those weren't necessarily good managers when they got a good team. And then there were also managers that were great managers when they got a great team, but they couldn't manage a bad team. So it'll be neat to see if he could do that. I kind of want to believe in him because to me, that Oakland team, this depending on where Billy was in the, we got to do this to save money like they did this year, and they trade off the Olsons, the Chapmans, all their stars. Melvin also seemed to do fine with teams, so I bet he does great with.
I think so.
Sorry about my rant.
Oh, you're
Rookie
good.
of the year.
So I could write it down. Who are your wild card teams then?
My wild card teams are San Diego, Brewers, and I'm gonna go with those Mets.
Okay. Metropolitans. And like I said, I flipped the coin on the Metropolitans. I mean, I really did. Not a lot of people call them the Metropolitans anymore, but
absolutely.
But I flipped the coin because I do know Steve Cohen's going to spend money. He's going to spend money. He's going to spend money. I mean, but this is for me. This is for me to you, Billy, and maybe I'm being way off base here a little bit. It just seems like there's been a dark cloud over the Mets for the last 10, 11 years, 12 years, whatever it may be. It just doesn't seem like it ever comes together the way you thought it was going to come together. Something always seems to derail that. And I don't know what it is. And I know Steve Cohen's only been there a year and a half. I'm going to give him time to kind of change that. But it just seems, it's like the Clippers of the NBA. It just seems like something always doesn't work. And I don't know why.
I think that trend's going to get bucked this year.
There you go. There you go. All righty, let's go to the American League. We'll go to the American League West first.
Yeah.
I have the Stros. I think the Stros are the creme of that. They're somehow, some way, their starting pitching may be better this year than last year with McCullers and Verlander coming back, into that lineup there. And obviously losing Correa is huge. But if there's ever a team that can lose an offensive player and still just be okay, to me, it's the Stros.
Look at the rookie they just stuck in there.
Yeah.
Go watch this kid Pena.
I saw him on Monday. Play. He looked pretty good. He looked
awesome. I mean, I did not expect him to be this good this fast. Now, obviously, We're just talking about spring training. But come on, there's a reason why they let him walk, right? And this is why, because I think they believe in this kid. He's hitting 350 in the spring.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, and I'm not sure. He's 24 years old. Jeremy Pena is his name. He's 24, and I don't know how many guys really liked Correa as a dude. I don't think he was a good teammate, and so
There's definitely let's just say this, there's rumblings of that. Like
yeah,
you didn't see a whole lot of people saying, "Oh man, he's gone." You didn't see the uproar. Oh my God. Like if the Yankees lose Aaron Judge, there's an uproar from the guy at the top all the way down to the guy that's cleaning the toilets at Yankee Stadium. I mean, you're going to have it all the way through. Correa leaves and it's okay. But let me tell you this though, Billy. Do you think Astros have been prepared for this when they signed Bregman to that deal 2 years ago? They knew that they were going to probably lose George Springer. They probably knew that they were going to sign Correa. And they signed Altuve, the year before that to the deal. They kind of picked the two guys that they knew. These are the guys that are going to kind of last through this run. These are the two guys that seem like we got replacements for. I mean,
yeah.
What is the Machisnik or whatever the guy is that's playing for the Astros in the outfield now for Springer? I mean, that guy's batting fifth in that lineup.
Well, that is that's their big is it Siri? They haven't decided, I don't think, who their center fielder is going to be. And that's going to be interesting because McCormick came up last year and all of a sudden showed power he'd not ever shown before, and so that's their big question mark. And look, Jose Siri's hitting 230 this spring. The aforementioned other so I mean, we'll see who's living with those guys, but that'll work itself out. They got Verlander back. They'll be interesting to see what they are. I think we got to pay a little homage to Seattle. I think they're going to give them a run. They might be the only team that
Seattle missed the playoffs by one game last year, guys.
And
they missed the playoffs by one game last year. So, yes, I think you're absolutely spot on with the Seattle deal. They made a couple moves here in the offseason that might pay off for them also. I guess maybe I fall into that same trap sometimes. Since they're in the far Northwest, you kind of forget about them sometimes, and then but I mean, the job that they did last year was, and as much as it pains me to say this, the Angels have to be better this year, don't they? You got Mike Trout in your lineup opening day. You basically didn't have him for the whole year last year. So that automatically.
Who has a better 1, 2, 3 in all of baseball than the Angels? Ohtani, Rendon. I mean, that's good to get. So, and they're pretty good after that. They have the arms. Because Seattle's lineup legit. It's not star-laden. You look at it and go, wow. Yeah, baby, 21-year-old Julio Rodriguez, who I think is going to make some real noise. And
absolutely.
And this is all going on without guys like Fred Lewis, who was Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, who's hurt, who's going to be here this year sometime, with a catcher coming up named Cal Raleigh, who I really believe in. Abraham Toro, who was Abraham Toro Hernandez. I don't know what happened to the rest of his name, but I love that kid. That team's going to be something special. I think their starting rotation's great.
They stole the Toronto.
We are. I
Yeah.
love Robbie Ray. I
I mean,
love
Robbie
this kid
Ray.
Logan Gilbert. Their bullpen's still a question for me, but you picked it right. Houston's the team, but Seattle's going to sneak in as a wild card, I think.
Gotcha. Okay, wild card, we got Seattle. All right, for me, let's see, we got the AL Central. I picked the White Sox, even though, Mr. Lynn going down, that's, that is a huge deal, obviously. That guy's been really good in the regular season the last 2 years. But their offense is just loaded there. I mean, and they're now, yes, I do know they lost. It was to the Giants, the pitcher that went to the Giants. I do know that they. Thank you.
Oh no, Gosman. No, wait.
No. It was Ren. Oh gosh, I'm brain dead. But anyhow, I know they lost some starting pitching there, but I think the division is weak. Now I'm not going to go completely there. I do think the Detroit Tigers are much better, in that division going forward. But I do think that you can lose Lynn for a couple of months of the season and still be okay, because I think you're going to be able to batter.
They're going to be fine.
Yeah, you're going to be
They're
able
going to
to
be fine.
batter.
Look, Lucas Giolito is an absolute stud. Dylan Cease, those guys are in anybody. They got a kid from Dallas, Michael Kopech.
Yeah.
This kid's upper 90s to 100.
Right.
Their number 4 is a former number 1 in Dallas Keuchel. Okay. And I mean, and Vince Velasquez is their number 5 right now, who used to be with Philly, and he's pretty damn good. They've got a great bullpen, great closer in Australian Liam Hendricks. Here they made the trade, and I don't totally get this trade. When we were talking about the Dodgers earlier, and I made fun of Craig Kimbrell in his stance, they traded him to the Dodgers for AJ Pollock.
AJ Pollock, yeah.
And he's a nice player, but he's 34. And where I didn't get that was, why do you weaken your bullpen? And when you got all these young kids, the Andrew Vaughns and the Gavin Sheets and all these bats coming up, like I don't know if I'll butcher his name. Cespedes is his last name. It's the little brother of the former Mets center field.
Yes.
Yoenis Cespedes. and they've got this major Cuban connection going on because Luis Robert, who's their 2 or 3 hole hitter, was buddies, and all of a sudden Cespedes signs, and now all of a sudden they got this other Colas that just signed with them. And Eloy Jimenez is a beast, man. Watch this kid hit. He'll play the outfield some. He'll DH a lot. I like this team, man. I really do.
And is there something to losing like they did last year to motivate you in the offseason to be better? They were the darlings last year for the regular season for so long, and then not advance in the playoffs. I think that does have a lot to do with the two, as a motivation point. But and Billy, again, I think he made a great point. The White Sox also have a very good farm system. So if they do need to try to pick up a place that there's a weakness in July, they can go from a position of strength to make that trade. And that's, people don't realize that's the reason why you want your minor league system to be so stocked with players, is so you can pick and choose, hey, I need a second baseman, my second baseman's killing me. Well, I want your third guy or whatever it is for a hot shot guy, you need to have those, chips to say, and the White Sox got them, the Dodgers got it. It's just one of those things that you can do, and you're not taking away from an everyday player to do that.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, they're a lock for both of us.
Yeah.
Let's go to
the big dreaded East.
I think the best division in baseball.
Not named the Baltimore Orioles.
I know, and God, I mean, it's so hard. I gotta pick Toronto. I got them just minuscule ahead of the Yankees, then the Red Sox, then the Rays. And anytime you're picking the Rays coming fourth, you're making a mistake probably. So, but
I'm right there with you.
I love the moves Toronto's made. I love that this team, and obviously, I don't know why I love that they have so many sons of former major leaguers on their team, but it tells me, I don't know, that they have that extra belief in themselves, right? I mean, it says in the Bible, what a man thinketh is what he is. And those guys saw their dads do it, right? I mean, the Guerrero Jr., who we'll be talking about for, I don't know if he qualifies for Rookie of the Year anymore.
I'm glad you brought him up. One thing he needs to learn to be a superstar, he needs to learn the English language, though.
Oh my gosh.
He needs to learn. I'm not trying to be bad here.
But
I'm just
you know
saying,
what, Kenny?
you want to be a star.
I think it's on purpose.
Yeah.
I think they do that on purpose. I think that's an escape. I think it's an escape from having to deal with the media.
Sure.
And
I never thought of it that way. You can't be the face of baseball. Well, I guess you can be the face of baseball and know the English very well, like Mike Trout, and not still, benefit from it. But you can't it's Miguel Cabrera all over again with Guerrero. You just can't be that way. But anyway, I didn't mean to get on a tangent, but yes, go ahead. Yes, he is. If he's not the best player in the American League, he's in the top 3. No question.
Yep. Well, I mean, he's wow. So, son of Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
How many shortstops are better than that 24-year-old? Son of
Tough out too.
Kevin Biggio. Kevin Biggio, who struggled a little last year because he was out of his element and he wasn't 100% healthy.
Right.
You watch.
He'll be hamstring injuries. Yeah,
yep.
Hamstring injury.
And you watch how great he'll be. Son of Lourdes Gurriel Jr., his father might have been the best Cuban baseball player ever.
He had a pretty good brother. Got a pretty good brother down there in Houston.
Brother's not too shabby either, right? I mean, even their starting rotation. I mean, even they're number 4.
How do you replace Robbie Ray, though? But I mean, replacing Robbie Ray, though, to me is the one question mark.
But they get a Jose Barrios,
mm-hmm.
who I love. Gausman, another stud.
Grinder.
I think Ryu will be better.
I love
kid Alek Manoah, who plays. I got to know his brother pretty well. That kid is going to be a beast. And then 5 is 2-3 on most other teams.
Yeah.
In Kikuchi. So, I mean, obviously injuries can crush them. Their bullpen, I like it, but things can go wrong there always. But love that team. The Yankees, come on. I mean,
Well, I know we've gone long here, so I'm going to cut. But for me, I picked the Yankees in that by just default. Only reason I picked the Yankees on their fault is because I'm thinking that Luis Severino will give them an added almost ace in that lineup going forward. I know he hasn't pitched extremely well in the spring. When Jason Taillon and those guys are your third, fourth, or fifth guy options, that's a decent deal. But I picked the Yankees one reason and one reason only here. Their defense is going to be much better this year. Hicks being in center field, Donaldson at third base, and Ian Kalefa at shortstop, and Gabriel Torres back at second base with Rizzo. That's a pretty solid defensive, infield. And the Yankees.
Well, now they got a guy that can actually catch and throw back
and throw, and they actually have defensive catchers now with no Sanchez back there being an absolute just. I mean, he let's just say this: he was never average as a catcher, defensive catcher. So automatically, you're stronger up the middle already on that lineup. So you're going to have plays, and I don't know why everybody's been kind of peeing on Ian so much. He had 179 hits for the Rangers last year. I mean, that's 21 hits from having a great year.
Well, okay. Something else people don't wrap their head around at all. Kind of Felipa, the year before last year where he played shortstop every single outing, okay? One of the most demanding positions on the field, right? Where was he the year before?
Third base, Gold Glove.
Where was he the year before that?
Catcher.
Thank you. Okay. So, how about him on that one? He's been taking it up for the Yankees. That was a great move for them. Because
I just didn't understand why people it felt like it was so underwhelming. I've never quite understood that. I go, you're getting a guy that has 180 hits and he's a Gold Glove type defender. How does that worse? Now, I mean, I understand Donaldson. He's another swing and miss guy in that lineup. That's already got enough swing and miss guys in that lineup. But he at least brings a Gold Glove type third base mentality on the defensive side. Yes, he's 36. I understand that. I know he's a little bit older, but the only reason I picked the Yankees there because I think that the Yankees I do think that they will spend on their payroll. I think they'll get Judge signed here in the next couple days, but I do think that they'll add to their payroll at the beginning. And you and I both know the Yankees have 6+ shortstops in their minor league system. 6.
Yep.
6.
Yep.
I mean, that's unheard of. 6+ shortstops in your minor.
And they got a few center fielders and a bunch of arms. They got arms in Gill and Clark Schmidt.
They have the ability to make a move and a big move. I think this year more so than maybe last year, they have the ability to make a big move. So that was the reason why I picked them to win the division. But okay, well, let's go to the wild cards because this is what I think is great. My wild cards I have in the American League is Tampa Bay, the Red Sox, and the Jays. And so it doesn't really matter, if you win it. I think all 4 of those teams will get in there. But my caveat to this, and I've really thought really hard on this, it was Detroit Tigers. I think the Detroit Tigers had a wonderful offseason, and they have one of the best skips there in AJ Hinch that's doing on there, and they flying under the radar. Nobody's expecting much, but if you look at their offensive lineup there in Detroit right now and the young arms that they have in their pitching staff, that's a team that can surprise some people. They're going to be a tough out, and they had a winning record against the Yankees last year.
Yep.
So I go, look out for Tigerland, and they'll be in my later stuff here a little bit there. But yes, Those are my wild card teams. I know wild card team you have is Seattle, and who's your other two?
Red
Yankees?
Sox. Red Sox. Tampa, New York. I mean,
So you
the
don't
East
have.
is so hard for me. I have a hard time.
I need
If
one
I
more.
got-
I've got Seattle, the Red Sox.
Put New York in there since I'm picking Toronto to win the division.
Yes, I got that. Got that. Perfect. All righty. Well, who do you have winning in the ALCS?
I think I'm going to go with whoever wins the AL East. So I'm going to say I said Toronto. So
There you go. We got O Canada. So we're gonna have the Star Spangled Banner and O Canada being sung before those first
Yep.
4 World Series games. All right, I
Yep.
like that. Who do you have in your NL?
I probably should have picked Houston, getting Verlander back, but I think the
picked
East is
Houston. I picked Houston to win. I think Houston will be in the World Series this year. I really, really, really think Houston is now being tailor-made in how they incorporate new talent, young talent every year into a veteran team. So when a veteran leaves, they're never sat around with not an inexperienced team. I like the way they've done it the last 5 years, seeing guys go away. And I think they're going to do it again this year. And I think that where Verlander is the key. The way I saw him pitch this past weekend, blowing people away with his stuff, it tells me he is fully recovered from Tommy John syndrome. And if that's the case, you just got an ace that you didn't have this time last year.
Nope, I agree. That's to me my 1.5. I mean, and I'm like I say, that's a tough one for me.
Yep.
Because
Who do you have in your NLCS?
Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Yeah.
I picked the Dodgers myself. We've already talked about them enough. I think they're going to make enough moves here to circumvent any shortages they have in the pitching staff. If there is any, they will have them. You know, they did Mad Max last year at the trading deadline. If somebody of that, you know, was available this time around, they'll nab them. You know, it's just payroll means nothing to the Dodgers, and luxury tax means nothing to the Dodgers. So yes, they'll do whatever it takes to make a move. So that's the reason why I have them, and that's the reason why I'm picking the Dodgers to beat the Stros in the World Series. I think this Dodger team that we see now with this lineup, as great as it looks on paper, I think the pitching staff by August of next year will look just as impressive too. And I think that that's going to be the reason why Dave Roberts will hoist that trophy above his head for the second time in 3 years. As much as that pains me to see the Dodgers be the world champions again, that's who I predicted.
Yep. You're not wrong. I don't think at all. I can't argue with that. Cy Young for me in the American League, I'm going with
This is what I like. Yes.
I'm going with Ohtani over Verlander.
Ooh, nice. Ohtani.
I'm going with Bueller over Corbin Burns and Merrill Kelly as my 2 dark horses in the National League.
Nice. Okay.
My league is also possibly Ohtani, Trout, or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think Ohtani's winning one or the other.
Okay.
First,
So
he's
you
got to
got,
stay healthy and Kenny.
so you got AL MVP. So AL MVP is Ohtani or Vlad?
You know, I got to go Ohtani.
Okay.
I just think he's at the end of the year, they're going to say, how do you not give it to him? Because he probably really won't win the Cy. Verlander may win the Cy.
Okay. So then who's your NL MVP?
Junior. I got Soto in the National League as my MVP.
God, he's a stud.
Oh,
Maybe playing on a bad team, but he's a stud.
But the most
And
exciting thing for me, like the NLM rookie, easy between three guys for me. It's probably going to be Seiya Suzuki for the Cubs. But
Seiya Suzuki in your National League Rookie of the Year.
yeah, my two dark horses there are a kid, Bryson Stott for the Phillies. Just
Okay.
made the team today. Watch him.
Okay.
And Camilo Duvall, he'll end up being the Giants closer. And his arm's insane. I mean, they could either take it, but the AL Rookie of the Year, man, this is going to be really exciting. I mean, it's sitting on a tee for Bobby Witt Jr.,
Yes.
another Dallas-Fort Worth area kid. But Julio Rodriguez is going to be a starting center fielder in the major league, and he's going to be great. Spencer Torkelson is going to be the starting first baseman for the Tigers, and he's a beast. And Adley Rutschman will end up being the Orioles catcher,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll be the best catcher in baseball. But will he be up long enough? I mean, any one of those guys, I'll take Bobby Jr. as my choice, but
Yeah,
that's
I
the best
understand.
group of preseason rookies I've ever seen.
Yeah. Who would be your coaches of the year?
Oh wow. I mean,
AL
nobody
and L.
deserves it more than Gabe Kapler did last year.
God, he did a great job.
You know, they'll say, "Oh, that team was so good." Wow.
Okay, you want to think about it, and I'll give you mine. You can think
I'm
about
gonna
it.
go with Dusty. I'm gonna go with Dusty.
Dusty and AL.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
Listen.
Dusty and Robert.
Nice picks. Nice picks. All righty, for me, I went Rookie of the Year in the AL, Bobby Witt Jr. I think he's going to have every opportunity to get 500 plus at bats if he's healthy. That will give him an opportunity to win that. That was the reason why I did do that. And I think that they'll keep him up on that roster as long as he can because they want Kansas Cityans in the stands. They want him in the stands. And they, believe me, they think that this is their next guy. You know, the Eric Hosmer of 11 years ago. They thought that was the next guy in Kansas City. So, yes, that was the reason why I picked him. In the NL, I'm going to go with Francisco Alvarez. I think Francisco Alvarez is going to have a tremendous year this year. I mean, I'd love to go into more detail, but I know we're running up against time here. My AL, you're going to be really surprised. My AL MVP, Rafael Devers. I think with the addition of Tracy, of Mr. Story in that lineup, that guy has been a quiet assassin the last couple of years anyway. I think he's going to get more pitches to hit. I think the Red Sox length in that lineup is tremendous. They play in a bandbox. You know, I really think Devers is going to have an MVP type year this year. He's really improved every year. My NL MVP, I'm calling for a bounce back year for Mr. Mookie Betts. That lineup, he's going to get pitches to hit now, which
you're all over the Red Sox.
Yeah, I know it, dude. Being a Yankee fan, I know people are killing me right now. But I think Mookie Betts is going to have a great year. I think he had a down year last year. He wasn't completely healthy. Now that he's healthy and that lineup, as long as it is, and having either Freddie Freeman bat in front of him or behind him, only is going to get him some pitches to hit this year. And we all know Mookie Betts doesn't miss many good pitches. So that was the reason I picked him. And the Cy Young this year, I'm expecting big things out of Garrett Cole. I'm not saying he's been a disappointment as a Yankee ace so far. I'm just saying he's left a little meat on the bone so far since signing that big year this year. I think it's about time because you can't expect Garrett Cole to improve 2 years from now. This is about the peak of his peak right now. So it's put up, shut up. the talcum powder, the foreign substance thing got into his head last year with the spin rates and all that other kind of crap. Now that we don't have to worry about that, I think that Garrett Cole's going to have a MVP, a Cy Young year this. And went back to my Milwaukee, Mr. Corbin Burnes. I have him winning the Cy Young this year. Yes, I think he's going to have a huge step up because he's not counting on to be the ace. He's going to go up against second and third starters in rotations when its time comes up, which I think is going to be big for him. He can't be the hard luck guy where nobody scores like they were from, last year where he didn't have a whole lot of score. I think this is his time for him to shine this year. I'm expecting big things on, and I expect Milwaukee to do well this year too anyway. But my AL coach of the year, I'm going to go with the aforementioned AJ Hinch. I think he is such an underrated skip. I think Hitch is going to do a tremendous job in Tigerland. I know some people think they're kind of trendy to kind of maybe sneak in and maybe get into the wild card. I still think they're probably about a year or two away from being solid there, but they have a lot of great pieces. And for all those trades that they were victimized of having, they've really acquired a lot of young minor league talent now that's on the major league roster right now. And I think that works for Hinch. He did that with the Astros when they were all young, when the Bregmans and the Correas and the Springers and all those guys were coming up. He has done this before with young stars. So I think that that's the reason why I think he's going to get Coach of the Year this year in the American League. And my last one is going to be National League. I think Craig Counsell. Craig Counsell is a great regular season skip. He's just got to prove something to me in October. I think he gets more out of less every year. He just got to do something for me in the October, and that's where skips are really measured. As your dad was a great skip, but they always said, you got to win. You got to do something in October.
Hey, think about this. I've compared him to my father in so many different ways. They were both second basemen that were average or below.
Right. Limited athletic.
Medium.
Yeah.
But both were very clutch and played big in big games.
Gamers.
Okay. If you ever see the Chicken Runs at Midnight, it's a great show. and the meetings we got this today as a whole cast because it's amazing. But he tells his daughter that they talk about this, and he's the Chicken Runs a Minute. Well, that was what they called him. That was his nickname, the Chicken. And he scored that winning run at midnight to win that game. And it was a prophecy that no one even realized the day before. But that guy played big. Counsell played big in big games for a guy who was a blue collar guy otherwise. And I think those guys make the best managers because they have to use everything they got to stay up there, play with those guys, and they have to always use this. Yes. And he does that well.
I call him Dustin Pedreos of the modern era. Just you knew every time that he stepped in that batter's box, it was going to be a grind. One way or another, you're going to have a really good pitch to get this guy out. And they did everything like you said. I call them gamers, but I just call them they're called red asses for a reason. You're just like, who is this little son of a gun up here fouling off all my pitchers' pitches, waiting for me to make a mistake so they can have a line drive to left field, the right field. That's, absolutely. And like you said, doing it in the clutch is huge. But hey guys, I know this podcast went extremely long. We wanted to get this, baseball predictions in. We apologize. We'll get back to the regular time next week, but we do appreciate you guys listening. If you want to help us out, please subscribe, press the like button and the comment, and on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. We would really appreciate that. Would help us out tremendously. Please leave us a comment though. That's really the one thing that we would love to get because we'd like to know what you guys like. Next week, we'll have Masters Talk. Hopefully we'll have a guest next week. We think we will, and then I think we'll probably have a guest coming up here later in the month also. So please leave us a comment, any suggestions you would like. We would definitely appreciate it. Billy Martin, it is Christmas tomorrow. We have opening day and the Masters first round.
Yes.
Doesn't get much better than that. And hopefully the last time we'll ever have the Masters and opening day on the same day. I'm hoping that's the case going forward, at least in my lifetime, because I don't like to split up my attention span. I don't have double screen at work to watch both of them tomorrow. So but it is a great week. It is a great week, man. Well, I'm glad you had fun on the golf course there today, Billy. Appreciate you staying on a little longer than we anticipated here a little bit, but love to get the, we got to get the predictions in for us to go back in October, and everything looks great there. I can't wait. We appreciate everybody, our audience here on Balls to the Wall, episode number 29. We will have a great week, everybody. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week.